old monk! The detective jumped up as soon as morning dawned. He lit a cigarette, got dressed, and went downstairs. He started walking towards the town square. He looked around as if he was waiting for news. Suddenly, he saw a child running from the corner of the street. He was waving a newspaper in his hand and shouting that another person had died. When the detective heard this news, he immediately went to the police station. When he got there, the police were running everywhere. The phones were ringing non-stop. He stopped one of the policemen and asked what had happened. The policeman replied that the worst had happened. The detective didn't understand anything. This was not an ordinary death. Everyone was excited. It was not normal for there to be so much excitement in a town where so many people had died before. Every week there was news of someone being killed, but this time the situation was completely different. The detective wanted to go to the police chief's office and talk to him. But the chief wasn't in his office. He saw that it was difficult to get news and went outside. He started walking quickly towards where the police were running. He saw a crowd gathered in one place near the square. Everyone was in amazement. As he got closer, he heard people saying, "How could this happen? How could they do this?" When he got close to the dead person, he couldn't believe his eyes. It was the police chief lying on the ground. His gun was right next to his hand. Like the other victims, the chief's thumb had been cut off. When the detective looked at him, he saw a knife mark on his throat. The chief's neck had been cut with a knife. He had a piece of paper in his left hand. "You can't find us inside, but we know who you are and why you came." This text scared everyone. Different things were happening in the town. It takes a lot of courage to kill the chief of police. It couldn't be an ordinary person who did this. The detective realized that more than one person did it. The paper said, "You can't find us." So this is gang work. They tried to tell him not to continue this by killing the chief. The detective left the scene. He got on his horse and went back up to the height outside the town. He looked at the town again carefully. He lit his cigarette and fell into deep thought. He was trying to focus. Suddenly, he heard a voice. He took out his gun and called out, "Who is there?" He saw an old man approaching him. "I am an old monk," said the old man. "I saw that you were sitting alone, and maybe you had a problem, so I came to you." "Detective, yes, I am in a complicated situation. The police chief is dead, but it is not an ordinary death. Everything is getting worse. I have no clues to solve the murder. I do not know what to do." The old monk stood before him and said, "Son, leave these things alone. Go back to your own home. Everyone here seems to have agreed with death. Look, people have accepted death. It is not known who committed this massacre and why. There is no evidence. Look, the police chief was killed. Maybe you are needed somewhere else, but this is not our town. If you stay here, they will kill you too. Those who do these things have a purpose. They will not stop until they reach that purpose." The old man said these and walked away. The detective thought about what the man said. "I have no evidence. No one is helping. The police chief is dead. It is not easy to solve this case. There have always been dark murders, but this time it was different. The men weren't just killing someone, they were also cutting off his finger. He wondered why. He thought long and hard about what kind of a job this was. Towards evening he mounted his horse and rode into the city. there was still chaos. Police were everywhere. He heard the news that a new police chief would come tomorrow from a boy walking around with a newspaper in his hand. He came to the town square and sat down by the well. He looked around carefully. The people were as if they were the living dead. No one was laughing or talking. Everyone was looking at each other suspiciously. Yes, it was like that before. But after the chief's death and the paper in his hand, people's fear had increased a lot. He started walking towards the guest house where he was staying. It was very late. There was no one outside. Even the lounge, which was open at night, was closed. As he was returning from the lounge, he saw a hunchbacked man walking quickly in front of him. The man was walking nervously, looking around. The detective started following the man. He saw the man walking towards a ruined temple at the far end of the town. He started running fast. The man entered through the door of the temple. He came running towards it. He drew his gun and entered. But there was no one inside. It was dark everywhere. The man entered here but disappeared. He looked around the temple and looked at every corner. There weren't many places to hide in the already messy temple. He turned back, tired and hopeless. When he arrived at the guest house, just as he was about to go to his room, the young Mr. Kane who worked there called out, "This letter is for you." He took the letter, thanked him, and went up to his room. He sat on his bed and opened the letter and started reading. It said, "You can see us, but you can't catch us." The detective turned white. His eyes darkened. He lay down on his bed and took a deep breath. This letter had frightened him. After a few minutes of silence, he stood up immediately. Despair and fear had given way to joy. Finally, it happened. I found a clue. According to the letter, I am on the right track. That is, the man I was following and the temple. There is a connection here. I approached them. Now I definitely need to get help from someone. Call the director to his house. I will meet him and talk about this. I think he will find this job by next week. It is best to sleep now. As soon as tomorrow opens, the detective jumps up and goes straight out. While he was trying to go to the police chief, an old man blocked his way. I need to tell you something. This old man was the monk I saw yesterday. I don't have time now. You can tell me later, he called to the old man. Thereupon, when the man said about what you saw yesterday, he grabbed the man's arm and pulled him aside. What did you see? What are you going to say? Son, my house is on the hill at the edge of town. I always watched the Kasbah from there. I saw you go to the temple yesterday. It seems you found a trace. I want to help you. Okay then, the detective called out. Then come with me, the monk called out. The two of them started walking towards the temple together. The old man did not speak at all. He looked very calm. The detective was suspicious. He wondered if this old man had any connection with the murderers. They came to the temple. They entered the half-destroyed temple. The detective drew his gun and started looking around. The old man called him to a wall. Look here, there is writing here. Both of them looked at the writing carefully. There was something written in an unknown language. There were also pictures of snakes on the wall. The detective did not know what these were. He asked the old man what these were, if he had any idea about these writings and this drawing. The old man then said, "Yes, I know some things, but if this is what I think, we are in a very dangerous business. We should stop this job." He said, "No, "I can't die. I don't want to die," and quickly tried to get out. The detective grabbed the man's arm and said, "Stay calm. Don't be afraid, and tell me what you know. I promise you nothing will happen to you, and I will protect you." After the man calmed down a little and thought about it, he said, "Okay, I'll tell you." At that moment, sounds were heard from outside, as if someone was walking around. The detective pointed his gun there. He waited carefully for someone to come from outside. Suddenly, he heard a voice, and the old man fell to the ground. Someone hit him in the head. He was about to pull out his gun and shoot the man he saw when he was hit in the head. He fainted from the pain and fell to the ground. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the rest of the story.